Hi, I'm Jim. Caught me there. And this is Jim's Fix-It Shop. And today I've had a few guys call me and say, what's the easiest way to get these bearings out and the new ones in? Well, I'm going to show them. And I'm also going to go one step farther and show you the standard bearings that you can buy. That's what's in here. These actually look a little better quality wise than these things do. Or I'm going to show you a real bearing that you can get and put in these tires. And it's shielded just like regular bearings are. And yes, this brand has side thrust capabilities. These do not. That's why they go to heck so quick, because when you mow a side hill with your tractor sideways, instead of going up it and down it, you destroy these bearings within a year or two. So, keep my Pepsi cold. I have this cool little cozy from Seco, and it's from a distributor that we use at work. We buy all our tooling from this guy. He used to work with us, but he went to college and got smart, and now he's selling tools to us instead of making them with us. So he gave me this little cozy to put on here. He says it'll keep my bottle from sweating all over the place. He also gave me a camouflaged one. But the thing I don't like about these is when you drop when you drop it on the floor, you can't see the dang thing. It blends right in. So I'll go with the blue one because I like blue. That's my favorite color. And by the way, this is from Eric at Dick Dykehouse, and they sell all kinds of tooling. I got to show you this. He also gave me this is from Seco, the same tool manufacturer. And by the way, we used to make tools for this company, the ones that they sell. This is one of them little magnetic pickup things when you drop something on the floor, although it don't seem to pick up cozies very good. And it's also got a little built-in light. That's kind of cool. I use it a lot on my table saw when I drop the arbor nut down in the bottom with all the sawdust. This really works nice. I think they also sell them. Now, on his tires, and no, he's just a friend. He does not sponsor my channel, nor does his company. To get these bearings out, I was asked, what's an easy way to get the bearings out? Well, the easiest way I found is just use a hammer. Now, you can stick a screwdriver down in here, but personally, if you know me, you know I don't like beating on my tools. So I just take a rod. You can go down and buy yourself a 6-inch long, 1/2 inch or 3/8 carriage bolt. And that'll fit right in there. And the carriage bolt will give you a nice size head to hit so you don't hit your fingers. But you just slip that sucker down in there. Now when you put it in there to drive it out, be aware of the grease fitting. You don't want to put your whatever you're going to drive with on an angle and catch the inside edge of that grease fitting, because you'll bust it loose, and that's going to be another issue. It'll probably be another video. But you just pop that little sucker out of there. And if your bearings aren't shot, you don't want to take them out, because if you do, taking them out this way, they will be shot. Now you can see this one. I need a rag, I guess. This one is really bad. You can see the top has got a larger gap than the bottom. Well, that's just because gravity's working there. There's probably at least two balls missing. And that's the kind of crap that they put in these tires and you have to deal with. Now the other side is going to be touching the same as the tire. So you want to elevate it up on top of something. Like the other tire. Works for me. Put that bar down in there. And we got that one out. And this one's, all four of these are just as bad. There's bearings missing. They're wore down, wore out. Who knows how many miles are on them. Not much. The machine's only a 2013. Yes, this is off my turtle. We're working on the turtle. Okay, this is the standard bearing just like I took out of here. Actually, these look, believe it or not, these look a little better than them. These say Freeway, Cleveland, Ohio. These say made in Taiwan. Well, hey, Taiwan's better than China. So, you can buy these. I got these at Tractor Supply. I keep wanting to call it Farm and Fleet. Wish they wouldn't change their names. These are $3.49 a piece. I got 4 of them for $14.80. That's with tax. Now get Uncle Sam in there. Or you can buy these. This is a real bearing. It's not this sheet metal stamped. I won't say it. This is a more machine ground bearing. It's got ground balls in it. It has some side thrust, not a lot, but it'll hold up a lot longer than these will. And it's shielded just like a regular bearing. Now, these are $14 a set. No, these are $14 a piece. That's right. If you do your machine, you're going to have 60 bucks into the 4 front tires. I bought 4 I bought 4 of these at Tractor Supply to put in the turtle because hey, these are better than what's in there, believe me. These I bought 4 of. They're going to go in my 2012 when I rebuild that this winter. We're going to put good stuff in that baby and see how long them hold up. Now to get these back in, I don't recommend you pounding on them. You never want to pound on a bearing. That's never good. You can use a socket. What you want to do is find a socket that lines up with the diameter of the part you're going to press in, not the outside. This rim is actually bigger than the part you're going to be pressing. So you want to use a socket this size to press on the outside so all the force goes on to where you're pressing it into. Now, can you use something flat to push on this? No, you can't, because if I can find something flat and straight here, I love it when I'm prepared. Got everything right here where I need it. Hey, what fun would that be? The inner race sticks up higher than the outer race does. So if you press on that with something flat, you're going to ruin the bearing before you ever get it in the tire. So use the open side of the socket if you're going to use a socket. And I would recommend doing it in the drill press, pressing it in and not hammering on it. Now, if you know me, I'm the tool guy. I made a tool for pressing bearings. I make these at work all the time for the machines I work on. And this part, the shank, goes into the drill press chuck. This diameter here is the same diameter as what I'm pressing on. This boss sticking out on the other side is 3/4 inch, the same size as the hole in the bearing and your kingpin. That slides on there and it keeps the bearing. You have a better chance of getting it in square than if you're trying to push on it with something like this. It's real easy to get it started crooked. And once you do, it's going to crimp the outer race where your balls are spinning, especially in this thing, and it's going to wear out right away. I always make a tool like this. And because the inner race is higher than the outer race, if you look close on this, you can see that the area where the inner race goes is countersunk about close to 1/8 of an inch. That way I know I'm not hitting that inner race at all. Let's go over to the drill press. We'll try to press one in with this thing, and we'll put the other one in with this. And I got to open another one. Just love it. But I got everything right here that I need ready to go. We won't show that. Oh, and the bearings from Applied Industrial. That's where I buy all my bearings, the good ones. Here's the bearing number. If I can do that without shaking. I haven't had my caffeine today. I'm drinking caffeine free. That's just sad. And I will put the name, well, here's all the information right there. Name, address, phone number, fax. I'll put all that in the description below, unless I forget because I'm getting old. Let's run over to the drill press and see if we can get both of these in or not. Okay, let's try pressing one of these in and see what happens. We're going to put the bearing in there, and we can't really square it because there's nothing to square it with. We're going to set the socket on top of it, and hopefully when the chuck hits the socket, that will square it up. That took care of that one. And it still turns. All right. Now we're going to put this thing in here. My furnace just kicked on. Sorry about the noise. And I'm going to have to elevate the table up. Okay, I raised the camera up a little bit so maybe you can see a little better. I'm going to put the bearing on the boss on the bottom of this tool and crank her down in here. Well, it started a whole lot easier. It's not easy to press them in. Alright, here's my turtle. Now, I'm going to lovingly call this a turtle, so you know I'm talking about the new machines from 2013 up into the present ones they've got. I don't know when they quit making them, if it was 2018, if they made one this year, I don't know. The old ones, like my 2012, I'm going to call that series a snapper. Now, when these new ones come out, you got to watch all my videos. The last video I talked about, they're going to reproduce the series 23 and 24 snappers and replace this line of machines. These are gone. They're not making them anymore. This coming spring, you're going to be able to buy one of those, supposedly just like that. As soon as one comes in to the only dealer I have left that I know of in Michigan, I'll go look at it and do some filming of it, and I'll get it online and show you what it looks like. I have mine standing up. I have to tell you about that. I made some rear bumpers that you all know what they look like. They're a bent piece of pipe. Well, the ones I made this out of was thick wall 3/4 inch conduit. And I bent the offset, just like them are, And when I went to stand this thing up, and I got the mower deck off it, I took that off first. If you could fix the problems on these machines, they seem to be very well built, very heavy. They're a lot heavier than one of those to stand up. That's why when you buy these, I talked to a gentleman in Georgia that works for Brown and Sharp. Now I'm thinking of tools. That works for Briggs and Stratton. And he said these are not made to or meant to stand up. They are too top heavy. Because of this structure right here, they're too top heavy to stand up safely. That's why they don't sell bumpers for them. Because of this rack and pinion steering thing they got up here, it's extremely heavy on the top. He also said there's been people that'll hook a hook on here from a chain fall or a chain hoist and lift the machine up to work on it. He said if you do that, don't go past, excuse me, don't go past 45 degrees because the machine can flip and land on you. And believe me, if this thing lands on you, you're going to know it, because I swear it's a whole lot heavier than that thing is. Now, once you get your bearings in your tires, you want to check your kingpins. And you can see where this one is worn quite a bit from the old bearing. Now, what causes this? When your bearing starts to go bad, it gets rusty, you lose a ball or two out of the race, they stop turning, and the whole bearing spins on your kingpin. So instead of your bearing rotating on the balls, it's rotating on your kingpin, and the inner race just wears this thing right down terrible. These we're going to fix. We're not going to replace them. I have a product from Applied Industrial again. They have two different products over there. And this was a sample he gave me. Well, it's product they sell, but he sampled this out and gave it to me to see how it works on this. There's two different kinds. This brand, or I should say kind, it doesn't say on here. This is a retaining compound, but it's quick metal. And there's another brand you can use that you put on here, and you let it dry, and then you machine it off or file it off and get it to where you want it, and the bearings will slide right on. That brand, or style I should say, you put on here while it's wet, you slide the bearing, your tire on, and it sets up and it's on there. Now, how do you get it off next time? I've got to call him and ask him about that. The next video when I fix these, I'll let you know what he says about it. But these kingpins go in just like the other ones. They still have the plastic bushings that you have to replace. But I've had a few viewers, get that gas tank out of the way, that have so far got back with me and told me the issues they've had with their turtles, on what was wrong with them, things they've fixed repeatedly. And one viewer, let me move this camera over here, said he's been fixing his neighbor's machine a lot. He said the biggest issue I have with his machine is this clamp that clamps around the top of the kingpin and lines this thing up. I got it in backwards. There. This clamps on here. You have to line the two sides up. And I'll show you, I'll come up with a way that you can do that, and I'll show you how to do it. But he said the problem he had is he couldn't get this tight. He said every time the guy mowed his yard, and if you're mowing alongside of your driveway, and if your driveway sticks up a bit like mine does, if I hit the edge of the driveway with the tire, it'll just pop the machine up on the driveway. He said these, if you hit the driveway, what it does is, if I get this off of here, while you're running and it hits the driveway, it pulls this down. So now you got one tire turning a corner and you got one tire going straight. He said, I've tried and I could not tighten this tight enough. You can see this one, if I can get it spun around here, is really, let me just grab the camera. See how bent this crack is? That should be straight. They've tightened this up so tight, they've actually bent this bracket. He said what he finally did, he got these things aligned just right, clamped this on as good as he could. They took it down to a friend of theirs, and they welded these two pieces together. He said he hadn't had a problem with it since. But next time you go to replace these plastic bushings, what are you going to do? You're going to have to cut it off. And I'm not really sure if you weld that on there, it's not going to destroy that plastic bushing right away. The heat is going to go down into that plastic and probably melt it. So let's see if we can come up with a better way to do this than welding it. Now the way this is made, it shouldn't rotate in there. The hole in this arm has two flats on it. And the end of this shaft has two flats. So once you get that on there and you get that clamped tight, that should not twist. But he said his did it all the time and they finally just welded it. That's one big issue with these machines. The next one, another viewer told me, he has a 2013, supposedly one of the worst machines they built. As they kept building them, they corrected some of these issues. He said, I've got one, Jim, and I've never had much trouble with it, and I wouldn't get rid of it. The biggest problem he had on his was the ignition switch. He said it quit working, and they sent him a new one. That quit working. They sent him another new one, and he says it's been fine ever since. We're going to go through the engine. That is a pitiful. Here is the starter off of that engine. Look at the size of this motor compared to the size of that one on that machine. When I bought this, I went down to get it. I went from Muskegon, which is by Grand Rapids, over to Flint to buy this. Took my trailer, and the guy said it don't run. When I talked to him on the phone, that's okay, I just want to buy one, basically to tear it apart and see what's wrong with it. Well, when I got looking at the engine at his house, I didn't think too much of it at the time until I got home, but out of the bottom of this starter is a shaft sticking out. Now I got to wondering, what's that shaft for? Why would that be sticking out of the bottom of the starter? Well, if you look real close, you can see a line around here. I guess where you could say a dirt line, where this is a little cleaner. That was the bottom of the starter. That was plastic, and it cracked and fell off. Now there's nothing to hold the armature in the center of the housing. Get my finger out of the way so the thing can spin. As far as the engine, starts right up. I took the top off it. I stuck my, I've got a 1-inch electric drill, stuck it on there, choked it, turned the key on, hit the trigger on the drill, and it took right off and ran great. I even ran it around the mowed yard with it. As far as the engine's running, it does run. It's compared to a real 10-horse engine, physically it is half the size. So you got to be something's got to be a little cheaper there somewheres. But that's how you put bearings in your tires. You can decide if you want the good ones or the standard ones. Like I said, the standard ones are $14 a set. The good ones are $14 a piece. So it's just, if you just mow a nice flat yard all the time, you're never going on a hill, maybe the cheap ones will be all right. That's up to you. Personally, I'm going to put the good ones in my machine. And that's about it for now. Next time we'll have, hopefully, I'll have the kingpins repaired. Whoops. So we can show you how to do that and what to do. So until next time, work safe. Don't forget to subscribe. It is totally free. You don't have to pay a thing. And you can watch all the videos. Have fun, and we'll talk to you soon. So long.